How's it going, guys?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. I got a bit of a cold, but I'm hanging in there.
Oh
Uh,
no.
yeah, that it's just a head cold. I'm okay. Not COVID. But I didn't want to miss this opportunity because you first of all, I loved your movie. It kind of snuck up on me. I used to work as a PA. I worked on shorts. I did crafty. And I worked in a casting office. So, needless to say, I'm suing all of you for emotional distress.
We stole all your personal experiences and put them in one film.
Yeah, I mean, just God, when they opened the food and so much of it. But I was smarter than that. But anyway, this isn't about me. This is about what you have done to me and what you have done by making this film. And uh, I know that you've all done shorts before. You've been a collective for a little bit, but how do you, when you go about making like a film about your experiences, can you talk about how you grafted that onto a horror movie? Because you kind of have your cake and eat it too.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there was a central th as someone who's worked in industry, and at very whatever role you're in, especially on an independent film shoot, let's say, I think there's a feeling that we were kind of getting at, which was uh, you can feel when you're on a set that everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Mhm.
And for me personally, because that's true, even as a director, whatever I've done, if there really was a nefarious thing, entity, whatever, actually running amok on the set and trying to terrorize us, I would probably chalk it up to just the chaos of being on set. And I would probably, which is a classic horror movie, like, that's something that you always have to get past is how are the characters going to react given the fact that we as an audience know that they're obviously in peril here. Um, Everyone could tell me that I'm in peril. I mean, people do tell me all the time I'm in peril by what I'm trying to film, right? Like, so, uh, I mean, Jake, you said like he's a cinematographer, there's certain situations that he would never go into unless he had a camera on his shoulder. Then all of a sudden it's like, yes, of course, I feel totally at it. He won't even be nervous in that case, right? Um, so I think that central feeling that you just get those blinders on and you just want to get this thing done uh, gave us the ability to make a mockumentary that then also has some serious horror tropes and elements that we get to play with too.
Totally. Um, I I just some of the characters in this. I mean, I I know you could like write a book about your experience, even though you've like made a movie about it. But like, uh, Brennan is just. What did you tell him to act like Mark Borchardt, or did that kind of come naturally to him?
Yeah, that's
Because
good.
I'm thinking he's like the redheaded stepchild of Mark Borchardt, not just because he's a redhead. But
Yeah.
how do you sort of calibrate these performances that may or may not be based on people that you've worked with before?
Absolutely. For Brennan's part, he was the hardest part to cast. He was a friend of ours, and we kind of went out. We did a wide audition on the page. We did a Spinal Tap sort of thing where the people, whoever the actor is, can bring something to the table, and we'd be happy to put that into the movie, right? So for that main character, we didn't want to write it too much like Mark, but we'd be lying if we said we didn't watch American movie once every year. And he's a huge. I mean, he's an inspiration to me personally. I hope that if there is anything that you see that's Mark in that character, it's an ode to that guy.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and it's not one to one. It's just
right.
I see the DNA in him, but he's funny in his own right.
Yeah, yeah, totally. That is the toughest part, and that's why Brendan I think really pulls it off, and he's able to imbue that while also taking other elements of that he wanted to bring to the character. Also knowing that at a certain point, like he is so driven by his vision that he makes decisions that I don't think the audience ever fully turns on him, but you can understand characters inside of the movie turning on his character and no longer following their fearless director. So that he was the hardest part to cast, especially because on the page he kind of just came across as a dick a little bit. It's just kind of like who is this guy? What Oh, my movie, my movie. He did a really good job of making you care about that character. What about the other characters as far as casting goes?
Uh,
As far as like trying to dial them in to make sure they're not too much of a cartoon.
yeah, well, it was just I think we did our due diligence in casting and
Casting director right here.
yeah, yeah. We started on
Like
Backstage, classic for a low budget film, or
again,
any film.
press.
We love it. You find all kinds of flavors on Backstage, and which is exactly what we wanted for this movie, honestly. Just like people who made strong choices, but still like were being very earnest in their delivery. Uh, the audition was and kind of an improv questionnaire. We had them like answer some questions that kept getting a little more ridiculous, and by the last one, it was like, "What is your idea of an ideal partner?" So we just kind of had them riff as each character in the movie that they were applying for, and we got just a really good cast that I think blew it out of the park. We trusted their instincts to um, play the role and not the joke, which was a really big part, and also bring like more character. Like they were so inspired. The whole cast was just really excited about the project. They brought their own life into each character that it wasn't on the page. That was really exciting to see
Mhm.
kind of organically happen during the process. And yeah, it was just we just got a really good cast,
Yeah,
honestly. Yeah.
super lucked out. And they also were so excited.
Hmm.
I think because they're like you, like they read the script and they saw what we could do with this. And so a lot of the ideas that some of the scenes, there's a 2 minute long scene in there that's one line on the page. A guy's having trouble framing the found footage actor in the movie within the movie is having trouble framing a shot. And that's all it says in the script. And I'm sure you remember that scene. And yeah, and that ends up being 2 minutes long because it was just so fun and they just kept going. And I think they committed to the situation of each bit as opposed to just trying to get to the punchline every time. And that's what made it to me really funny.
Hmm.
So like I love that moment, but like so that was just like an improv where he's leaning in the car and he's like, "Well, I'm not actually like what were you just like letting it go or were you just like wait, cut, say this like how do you massage something out of that moment?"
So in the script, it's a very clear that there's a joke in there. I'm fine with giving up this one. It's like they cast a guy to play the guy who's holding the camera in the found footage movie who has very little experience holding a camera.
Mhm.
And that joke was clearly established. And then it basically just says in one line at the end of the scene where they kind of go back and forth, like, have you held a camera before? That whole scene, that's on the page, right? It ends with the line, he tries over and over again and can't frame the shot to save his life. Which could be, I mean, that could be 5 seconds, right? It's like cut, cut, cut. Or they could do what they did, which was really playing out every single take, having so much fun with it. And then I remember when he was in the edit bay cutting it together, I just start hearing like someone laughing in there. He's just watching the raw
I'm
tape.
just watching the dailies. I'm almost like as an because I edited the film and I was like I don't even want to edit this. I just wanted this to play uncut because this is killing me. I was laughing so hard. It was awesome.
And it's so believable too,
So
right?
believable.
Yeah, yeah. At one point, one of the actor who's never held a camera before, quote unquote, he gets an instinct that he wants to zoom in, and that's just so classic. Is like once the actor accepts something as part of their character, of course, then they have like a bunch of instincts, and now he thinks he's a cinematographer basically.
And you're editing it like, "Oh God, no, just no, that's not we need to go back out there. Just please." Um but I did want to ask. Well, first of all, going back to the characters for a second, I love that like it's hilarious, but it's not always a joke with everyone. Like you have a love story there,
Hmm.
like you said, you play to the real. Wow, it's still hilarious. The real and the Alan Rickman, as it were. But I'm not going to elaborate on that. Everyone has to see it.
Yeah.
But when you're in post on this, what are you discovering in the edit? Because I'm fascinated with the idea that you guys made like a found footage horror comedy. It's like you guys, Deadstream, and Behind the Mask, and like that's it. So I'm like, because post is it's important, and that's kind of where you realize things have gone wrong that you can't really fix. So what was sort of patched over, or like what problems did you solve?
It was nice that we were rolling three cameras. I
Yeah.
mean, that was a huge
Oh,
part of it, right? So we had so much, we had three times the footage, at least two times the footage of anything we've ever had on every scene because we were at least rolling two, but then often three. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna turn to you that on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest, it was a pretty seamless like editing job. Like it was pretty enjoyable to edit this movie because to get like the scene 90% there, I just was watching the movie, like basically, these scenes are all multicam, so I'm just watching the multicam sequence and then just cutting back and forth between the two cameras. And like, there's the scene. Like the actors did such a good job, and then we'd obviously go in and change takes and like
Hmm.
fine tune the scene. But it was very fun because that's normally not the experience when you edit a movie. More normally, you're like you're having to puzzle it together, and then it's not until like you've spent all this time to actually see the scene. But for this one, it was fun because you're just watching the scenes unfold in real time.
The hardest section was probably there's a montage in the first 20 minutes of the movie. There it's like basically they get the green light and they start the auditions and all this stuff.
Yeah,
When his first cut of that montage I think was like 15 minutes long.
yeah.
Because we just had so much funny stuff. It's like how do we get all of this in there? And I think the probably the hardest part of the edit was losing jokes that we really liked.
Hmm.
And ultimately what it helped was the pace of the movie. So because one thing that when you're balancing the found footage with a mockumentary, you don't want to lose. What's cool about found footage is there's an inevitability to the whole process. Like that it's going to end with you will have a climactic ending one way or another.
yeah.
Um, but in a mockumentary, that is not guaranteed, right? There's plenty of mockumentaries that my favorite part is the first act or is like some part of the second act. So we couldn't just do a fun mockumentary and then just kind of let it peter out. It had to keep pushing forward, which unfortunately required us cutting a lot of our favorite jokes from the movie.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Real quick, and I'm being completely presumptuous, but favorite Christopher Guest movie for all of you, go.
Waiting for Guffman. You can say it too. It's okay.
I think I'm gonna go Spinal Tap.
Oh, nice.
It's the
Yeah,
OG.
yeah.
Yeah.
Waiting for Guffman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of an unfair question, I know, but like I also did music like behind the scenes community musical theater growing up, and
It
just
hit.
nothing. There Spinal Tap may be a better movie, but like there's nothing else like
Oh,
A Night at the OA. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, like, and it's hard. Like the first part of all of those like mockumentaries are always hilarious because you don't quite know what you're in for, but you have to like sustain it all the way to the end.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And Christopher Guest does a really good job by making the characters so like three-dimensional. I think what he does in those movies in the best version is that you actually care about the drama of it. You care about the band falling apart. You care about whether or not Guffman's going to show up in like some weird way.
and
But
Mitch and
that's like
Nicky, yeah.
yeah, exactly right. But
Uh,
that's a hard. I think a lot of other people have tried to do that, and it's just a hard target to hit. You really have to have great actors and a great impulse as a director. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he's acting and directing, so he's able to keep that like whatever movie he's in. I always feel like Christopher Guest's character. I'm rooting for that guy. So yeah, so this was a little different. That was the experimental aspect of it, was the found footage element. But you were excited about that part.
Yeah, of course. I love horror. I love found footage. And you know.
And we're getting to time, but I just want to close by asking, where the hell has Dean Cameron been this whole time?
We
It's
Oh,
found him in
pulled
a
him. I mean, I know he was in that Always Sunny episode, but it's like
yeah,
it pulled him out of thin air, and it's like he's hilarious.
yeah,
He's
he's
like
so
your
good.
ringer. He's like your David Koechner in Final Destination 5, which is a bit of a pull. I understand, but like, he is
awesome.
just. I mean, to talk about him, he's just so game.
So full disclosure, Dean was my first friend when I moved to Los Angeles 10 years ago. He
Really.
was best friends with my uncle in like middle school. So I just came here and it's like, hey, you got to meet up with Dean Cameron. I had already seen Summer School and I'd already seen Rockula at that point. So I was like, this guy's fucking awesome. Are you kidding me? I meet him and he looks like Santa Claus because he's got the beard. It's like a totally different, visually, he's like a totally different guy. But he has matured into an incredible character actor. And I hope that this is just the start of a whole new chapter for him. I mean, these like middle tone characters, these regular guys, No one's funnier at mumbling something under their breath than Dean Cameron. It's just that's what he does.
Totally.
That's awesome. Well, I hope to see more of him, and I
Yeah.
hope to see whatever you guys have cooking up because this was absolutely rad. And I just will say I'm gonna stop recording because I don't want to spoil it.